Hey, Edinburg, let me hear you make some noise. Now, by applause, how many of you guys heard of Coast to Coast AM? Well, here's your guy. Put your hands together for Mr. George Noory. Come on, let's hear it. Take the roof off this place.
Well, am I on?
Gentlemen.
Hello there, Edinburg. I'm over here. Hello, Ruben. Noe. I always like to do these informally. You don't want me behind the podium, do you? This is what it would look like if I did it behind the podium. Because Noe's not moving. Sit down, Noe, just like you were doing your thing. So I'd be doing my speech like this. I don't want to do that. By the way, could you make it a little hotter for us? Whoa! You know, I go back and forth between Los Angeles and St. Louis. St. Louis is hot and muggy in the summer, but not like this. This is truly unbelievable. What did it hit today? Did anybody get the temperature? Was it over 100? Is it this way all the time? How do you people do it?
We're part alien.
You are? My God. Well, Tom and I landed from Los Angeles. We went to Dallas. And from Dallas, we went to McAllen. And McAllen's a neat airport, by the way. It's very functional. You get through. And the only thing we ever ask for these events that we go to all around the country is to have somebody pick us up. That's fair, isn't it? Don't want to have to rent a car, drive. We don't know where we're going. So we did. We landed in McAllen and we said, hey, we'll just go to baggage claim. Normally we carry on and we'll get our driver and whisk us to Edinburg. Maybe our plane landed too early. I'm not sure. Because we waited 20 minutes, at least. No driver. I mean, I don't need a limo or anything. Just pick me up and get me to where I'm going to be. That's all I ask. 30 minutes into it, I'm saying, Tom, we really got to get going. It's getting late. What are we going to do? Tom has lost all his contact phone numbers. He doesn't have them with him. So he said, we're going to have to take a bus. That's my producer. He's sharp, isn't he? Take a bus. So we go outside. We get hit with this sweltering heat. If it wasn't because I wanted to meet all of you, we would have gotten back on the plane and went back to Los Angeles. And here comes the bus. It says Edinburg right at the top. And he says, well, okay, we're just going to get us to where we want. So we get on the bus, sit down right in the front by the driver, and off we go. We realize we're in a senior citizens bus. They're on a tour of Edinburg. What the heck is in Edinburg for a tour? There's the CVS pharmacy. Look, that's where they're going to build a Dave & Buster next year. So while we're in this bus, getting to our hotel, this 90-year-old woman is in the back seat, hobbling her way to the front where the driver is, giving him a handful of peanuts that he pops down his mouth, and she goes back. Folks, this happens 3 to 4 times. She gets up, hobbles over, God love her, hands peanuts to the driver, he eats them. She goes back. Tom and I are looking at each other going, what have we done? The fifth time, she's done this 4. The fifth time, even the driver is a little suspicious of what's going on here. And he says, lady, can I ask you a question? And she said, yes. He said, my gosh, you've done this 4 times, now 5. Don't you like peanuts? She said, oh, we love peanuts. We just don't have any teeth, so we suck the chocolate off it first. Oh. That was our introduction to Edinburg. Thank you, Ruben, for the invite. How many of you are regular listeners of Coast to Coast? Whoa! It's about 80 share of the audience just here. Well, thank you. Pleased to announce that effective now, we are now on 615 radio stations across North America. About 600 in the United States, 15 in Canada. How many of you listen on Sirius XM? Okay, as you well know, as of last week, we switched to channel 146, just so you know. We used to be on 102, and so we're on that one now too. As we were coming up here, I said, you know what, I'm not going to just talk about UFOs today. We did that on the panel, and the whole conference has been that way. And it's been a great conference, hasn't it? It's a fun time. We're going to do a meet and greet. We're going to answer your questions. But we're also going to talk about what the heck is happening to this planet today, which is, to me, the most important thing right now. Something is going on. People are uneasy. Do you sense it? Everywhere you go. I think that's probably one of the reasons somebody like Donald Trump is so high in the polls. Now, you don't have to be embarrassed to tell us your political persuasion, but I'm curious. Show of hands. How many of you like Donald Trump? Look at that. It's amazing. And I would guess one of the reasons why you do is because he just is a straight shooter. Tells it the way he thinks. He doesn't sugarcoat it. He may not say the right things, but he talks, that's right. And he's not lying. He's telling you from the heart. And I think that's all any of us want right now. We just want it from the heart. How many of you are Hillary supporters?
He was here.
Stand up. There's Hillary's sister, Gladys. Gladys, how are you? It's good to see you. Hillary's got 1 or 2. That's her cousin over here. That's about it. I mean, do we really want Bill Clinton in office again? Jeez. How many of you are Jeb Bush supporters? Well, there's one just inching her fingers up just a little bit. Put her in shackles. I think people are simply tired of the same thing. So it's going to be an interesting, fascinating race. We've got John Hogan, our prophecy expert, on a little bit Monday. He has predicted, he has been right in 44 presidential elections. 44, right? Every 4 years you have one. So for the last, God knows, 40-some years in his life, he's been right. I should say the last 11, 44 years. That would have made him 306. He's old, but he's not that old. But he's been right in every last 11 elections. And he predicted on my program a year ago, he hasn't changed yet, I'm going to be interested to see what he says Monday night. It will be Hillary versus Jeb Bush. It will happen. And he hasn't changed his mind yet. I think he's wrong for the first time. But if he's not, if it becomes Hillary and Jeb Bush, and Gladys, you'll be going to the White House if she wins, it tells you that the machinery wins all the time. And it tells me that your vote is insignificant. You're absolutely right. They tell you who they want elected. They don't care whether it's Jeb Bush or Hillary Clinton. They just want one of them in. And that's what's going to happen. So with the Donald Trump situation, let's see what happens. Let's see how this unfolds. Because we're going to watch it very closely on Coast to Coast. We've got another person on Monday who, you've heard of the Merlin Project. They track things via computer. It's been very accurate. He's going to give us Donald Trump's time track and see how he's doing there. I suspect it'll be pretty good, but we'll find out. That's fascinating. But it tells me that Americans are frustrated with everything. They're tired. They're just not going to take it anymore. They're starting to put their foot down, saying enough is enough. And that's one of the things we're doing with Coast to Coast, because this is your program. And all around the country, we've heard people's voices saying, we love the paranormal. We love the stories about Bigfoot. We love life after death. We love the UFO stories. But how does that affect me? How does that affect my kids? So I sat down with Tom and I said, Tom, we got to keep tweaking things. You know, after 9/11, the world has changed. It's a different planet out there right now. We'll talk a little bit about that and some of our suspicions about that. So we've added these ingredients to the program, and I think it's made a world of difference, and I hope you like it that way too. Do you? Yeah, we're going to keep doing that. Stories that affect all our lives, because, hey, quite frankly, we're not here for a long time. And you might as well make it the best you can and be happy doing it. Build that island around the people you like and care about and love, and make it a better planet for them. And that's the best I think we can all do as individuals. We're not going to change the entire planet all by ourselves, but each and every one of you can change what's happening in your own environment and your own life. And that, to me, that's worth it. It really is. But let's see how this all unfolds in the next election campaign, because it's coming up, and it's coming up pretty darn fast. Let's also do some Q&A with you and answer any questions you may have. And did you want to do a meet and greet photo thing?
Yeah, we'll do it after. Let's play Ask George right now. So raise your hand if you want to ask George anything.
And don't be shy. Yes, sir.
We'll
Just stand up, tell us where you're from, and
give me time
fire
to go over
away.
there, and I'll give you the mic.
That's right. Tommy will play the part of Phil Donahue, running through the audience.
I won't run, but maybe I will.
Thank you. My name is Manny, and I'm very honored to be able to ask you a
Thank you,
question
Manny.
personally. I can't imagine what it's like to try to get on the phone with you on your show, so this is awesome.
We've got 8 phone lines. Tom's the one who answers the phone and puts people on hold. So if you whisper in his ear, he may give you the secret number. Slip him a 10, you'll get the secret number.
My question to you today, sir, is you hear a lot of the stories, and how much of it do you believe? Is that hearing the stories, is that what makes you believe, or have you personally encountered certain things that make you believe in a lot of what you hear?
One of the reasons we have not put a camera in the studio for the show, I just put it in for a pre-show that we do for the Coast Insiders. But one of the reasons we won't put a camera in there for is because I don't want you to see me rolling my eyes. What I always tell people when they ask me that question, Manny, is, what do you believe? It's not up to me. It's up to you. I want to be the one to facilitate the story. I want to be the one to get the great stories out of the individual. You know, I could be that kind of talk show host that slams down everything that comes on, like, oh, really? You saw a UFO and it landed in your backyard? Ha, you're nuts, hang up. But that's not what the show is. The show is the interest of the person who has seen their dead grandmother, who has witnessed Bigfoot standing by the side of a lake. So what I believe really isn't that important. Do I believe every story that I get when they call? No, of course not. But do I believe some of it? Yes. Some of it is really thought-provoking and makes you wonder.
To your left in the corner, George.
Hello there.
Hello, sir. My name's Leo from San Benito, Texas. Sir, you constantly discuss on your show about attacks as far as EMP, and you're pretty, constantly pushing that on.
Yes.
How serious do you think these attacks might happen? Iran, is there a big threat right now? Russia. I mean, could they possibly attack us with an EMP, pulse?
And it's not just an EMP, which I'll explain what it is. It's also a solar flare from the sun. I want one thing, personally, for myself. I want to be remembered as the talk show host who got our power grid insulated against an EMP attack or a solar flare from the sun. An EMP attack is when a country detonates a nuke high atop our atmosphere. Does not destroy anything physically, but because of the electromagnetic pulse from the explosion, it renders the power grid and shuts it down. And without the power grid, folks, we're screwed. Let me tell you something. You go one day without power, and I'm sure you've had some power brownouts out here because it's hot, and if air conditioning runs, you're shut down. You go one day without power, people go crazy. You go 2 days, people go nuts. This would go for a year or 2 or 3. They have predicted that 90% of us in this room would be dead within 1 year if the power grid is shut down for any length of time. No gasoline, no water, inability to get food, you can't go out and get anything. We are literally up a creek. An X-flare from the sun is just as bad. If we get a big X-flare from the sun, we did in the 1800s, it shut down the telegraph system. We missed one 2 years ago, it went off the side of the sun. Had it hit us directly, we would have been in deep trouble. This will happen, whether it'll be an EMP attack from a nation that can't stand our guts, or the sun. And if we don't protect the grid, we're up a creek. How much will it cost to protect the grid? It's predicted $2 billion, that's it. We waste that much on all these government programs. I really implore all of you to push your congresspeople and senators to get legislation pushed to get the grid insulated. We've got a new talk show host at our network. Her name is Meghan McCain. She is the daughter of Senator John McCain. She came up to me and said, "Gosh, I love your show. I listen to it all the time. You're doing everything." I says, "I need a favor from you." And she said, "What?" I said, "I want to meet your father. I want him to enter legislation, a bill which will fix our power grid." And she said, "This is a great idea. Let's get it done." So I'm going to go that way too. But there are other members of Congress now who are starting to wake up, thanks to a couple people, William Forstchan and Michael Maloof, who've written books about this as well. And we're going to get this done, folks, because the future of your life and your kids' life and their kids' life depends on this. Go 1 day without power. Test yourself. No cell phone, no electricity, no nothing, and you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. We've got to get it fixed. I need your help on this too.
Okay, Frank Benton, retired science teacher from Brownsville.
Hi, Frank.
I have a question that's been bothering me for a while, and I'm honored to speak with you. Haven't heard anything about HAARP in a while, and I know that they can possibly change weather patterns, and that the U.S. is not the only one with a HAARP system. What is the latest that you've heard or has been on the show, and is it possibly that it could be used for climate change?
couple months ago, we had Nick Begich on, who wrote the book Angels Don't Hear This Harp, HAARP, and it's an array, it's a system that's in Alaska, but it's also in Europe, and people really didn't know what the heck it was. They said it was a communication device. Bull. I think it's a weather manipulator, that they are beaming signals into the ionosphere and they're creating all kinds of weather change patterns and things. They said publicly a few months ago that they were going to shut it down for lack of funding. Bull. It's still operating and it's under control now of some companies in Britain, and it's in Alaska, but I think it's used for weather manipulation and weather control. Probably warfare. Yes, sir.
Mr. Noory, my name is Stephen Kyle Robinette. I want to thank you for everything you do. I think you make the world a better place. And but I want to ask you, I've been telling people for years that they ask about politics, like, see this quarter? The tails is the Democrats, the heads is the Republicans. It's one quarter. What can we do to, you were mentioning it here today, the machinery may win this election. What can we do, what do you feel that we can do to make a change? Effective change?
Good question. If I had that answer, I'd be running for president. Would you vote for me? Doesn't matter what party I would run for, they're all the same. But, you know, Donald Trump said another thing that was right. He said he has to run as a Republican, not as an independent. Because if you're going to win legitimately in this country, you have to be one or the other right now. And that's just the way it is. You know, I would wish independents could win all the time, or libertarians. But he was right. But in terms of what kind of change can we do, that's a tough question. I hate to say that we're hopeless and we're stuck, but I think the only way is to really try to select honest people. Here's the problem. Let's assume Donald Trump gets the Republican nomination. He's going to run against Hillary. That means the machinery wants her to win. They're going to pump money into her and everything else. Contrary to what Donald says, he's not that wealthy. He may seem to be on paper, but he's owned by his bankers. I mean, he went bankrupt a few years ago corporately, and he's been struggling. He's got cash flow coming in. But if the banks today said to him, Donald, we want to be paid, most of us in the room would have more money than he does. Of course, I know Tom would, because he saves every dime that he makes. But to answer that question, what can we do? I hate to say I don't know, but just to hope to God that the right people get elected and they don't get tainted when they get in. That's the other problem. I think President Barack Obama had great intentions when he went into office. Great intentions. But something happened to him. Something changed him. Did they get to him? Probably. And that's unfortunate.
Hi, Mr. Noory. My name is Armando from West Lakewood, Texas.
Hello, Armando.
Yeah, I hear your show almost daily.
You better.
And also, yeah. And I know you've been mentioning, just like you mentioned right now, how there's something just happening to people. And I can't agree with you more. I'm a younger guy, and I almost feel bad for my son because it's going to be worse when he's my age.
Yes.
So I can only, I know a few days ago you had a guy that was just giving negative predictions of in the future. And it can't help but bring me down, but like, what do you personally think? I mean, we, here in the Valley, we have...
I think, Armando, we're going to win in the long run, but it's going to be a rough road to get there. The guy that you're talking about, his name's Jonathan Kahn,
Yes.
and he was talking about how an event in September is going to be more devastating than anything we've gone through to date so far. He calls it the year of the Shemitah, which is Hebrew. But let's find out. I mean, he said it's going to be weeks away, and we shall see. But it's like I said, people are acting weird. How many of you see road rage out there? More than ever. People have gone crazy. I have a theory about road rage. Road rage is caused when either the inconsiderate or bad driver does something to a person who's having a lousy day. And so that person becomes the rager. They're driving around, maybe they're not happy, they've got problems at home or problems at work, and then some guy cuts them off, intentionally or otherwise. Because I've seen a lot of bad drivers who don't even know what they did. But the road rager is the person having a bad day. And my point is, about all this, is that that person who's having a bad day has increased by 100-fold. It's absolutely amazing.
There's one last question.
Sure.
How close are you to interviewing Fidel Castro? I know you mentioned it a few times.
We have a request in. He's 89 years old. He doesn't have much time left. And there are 2 other government officials who need to approve it and get it to him. But we're getting close. And I would love to do that. I mean, here's a guy who lived through the Kennedy era, the Khrushchev, everything. It just would be fantastic. Oh, who do we have here?
My name is David Pena.
How old are you, David?
8.
Well, welcome to the program.
Okay, but I'm always wondering.
I'm Barney.
What?
No, I'm kidding. Kidding.
I'm always wondering on how you got your interest into UFOs and aliens. I wonder.
Well, let me tell you, David. Great question. If I told you I was an alien, would you be scared?
No.
Hey, why don't you come up here with me? Come here. Bring the mic. Come on up here. I gotta get a little chair. Can I take this chair, sir? Yeah. Pop up here, David. I'll hold you so you don't fall.
Okay.
8 years old. Okay.
Yes.
How did I get interested? You're a good-looking kid.
Thanks.
Were you born here?
No, I was born in Laredo.
Laredo,
Yeah.
Texas?
Mm-hmm.
I guess that's where it is, isn't it? Do you know where Detroit is?
No.
That's where I was born.
Oh.
How old do you think I am? Don't be wrong.
I probably like between 30 and 40, I
Great little guy. Give me 5, David.
guess. Well, I have to ask.
You're close. Now, to answer your question, my mother brought me home a book when I was about your size called We Are Not Alone, about life out there in the universe, extraterrestrial life. And after I read that book, I was hooked. That's all I wanted to do was study UFOs and other planets, because I believe we're not alone. What do you think?
Well, me too. I mean, like, I've been watching reports about UFOs too.
They're out there, aren't they?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think they're good or bad?
Well, I think that they're just creatures that are wondering. Like, well, they're wondering what we are. Like, they don't know what we are at all.
You should do a segment on Coast to Coast Weekly, huh? We'll call it the David Hour. If you were faced with an extraterrestrial, one of those grays with a big head and the big eyes, eyes not quite as big as yours, but close, what would you say to them? What would you ask them? One question to ask an alien. What would that be?
How is it life in space?
How is life in space?
Yeah.
That's pretty good. And if you had a chance to say one thing to all these people out here, what would you tell them? Go ahead, turn around and talk to them.
Well, I think that aliens are not what we think they are, because we feel them. But I think they feel us more than we do to them.
How about that, David? Thanks, David. Take a jump here. Now that's the future of America. That's why we do what we do, to protect this place for people and children like that. Thank you, David.
Hi, George. My name is Candy.
Hey, Candy.
And I met you.
They used to say candy is dandy when I was a kid. I won't go
I
there.
haven't heard that one, never.
No. There's another part of it, but I won't say it. David's in the room. But knowing David, he already has the answers.
I met you in Arkansas at the UFO.
I was never been in Arkansas.
Oh, no, of course not. And at that time I told you that I was a little angry with you because you were the one and the reason that I lost my husband at 3 a.m. every morning out of the bed, right? And I wasn't listening to you at that time because I didn't want to get up at 3 a.m. So we became Coast to Coast Insiders.
Aha, you podcast. Excellent.
So
And
now-
this is your husband, I hope?
This is
Because you've
my-
got your arm around this guy.
This is the reason that I listen to
I
you. He's been listening to you for years and years and years. And finally he started podcasting, and now after the nap every day we turn the podcast on.
Perfect.
And I just love your segments on preventive health. Dr. Joel Wallish, Ben Puch, all that. I think you're doing a wonderful service to this world and the people that listen to you to turn them on to preventative health. And I thank you.
Oh, you were welcome. You were very welcome.
Thank
Go
you.
ahead.
And one other thing, when are you retiring?
Never. Never. You know, when you retire, I saw my dad, he retired when he was 60. And he didn't do anything after that. And I slowly saw him just going down. And I'm not going to do that. You know,
Good.
Tom, you might as well tell him what our agreement is on how this is going to be handled at the appropriate time.
Well, it's weird talking about.
No, but it's the truth.
I've got a booth that separates from the studio, so we see each other through glass. So if George falls down, whatever happens to you.
And dies on the air. Now, I have died on the air before, but in a different way.
We're going to stay on the air. I'm going to run in and explain what happened and explain how happy he was that he went that way. Correct?
That's how I want to go. That's how I want to go. We go to a commercial break, and Tom comes back and says he's gone. That's when I'll retire, but then I'll come back and haunt you.
How you doing, Mr. Noory? Albert from Brownsville. Been listening to you for about 12 years already. So I'm
Thank you, Albert.
One of your, I guess the shows that really interest me also are the ones that you have with David Paulides and the
Missing people. Oh,
Yes,
that's scary.
Could you give any kind of update on that? And I was talking to a gentleman here saying that he had heard, and I had never heard this on your show, but something about underground tunnels in a lot of the areas where this happens. So
Something strange going in. Paulides, it has scared him so much, he will not reveal exactly how he feels or what he thinks might be going on. We talked about serial killers in our park systems, all kinds of strange things. He doesn't think it's that, believe it or not. He thinks maybe it has happened, of course, but there's something else. These are cases, for some of you who might not be familiar with this, where people are camping or they're out there in the park systems, and you turn your head and they're gone. They're just gone. Little kids. There was a little boy, you talked about that, the child disappeared, was right there with his family. They said they turned their head and he was gone. He was found months later, of course not alive, on the top of a mountain. What little kid could climb up to the top of a mountain like that? A year later, they found his clothes neatly tucked with his tennis shoes put on top of his t-shirt that looked like that they had been stored in a closet for a year. There's no weathering on it at all. You put clothes and your shoes out there in the wild for 1 year, you're going to have rain, dirt, everything. Pristine, brand new. It's one of the weirdest stories I think I've ever had. Yes.
Hey George, how's it going? My name is Diego. I'm here from Edinburg.
Hi.
I don't listen to Coast to Coast, but I'm a big fan of your stuff from Ancient Aliens.
Yeah. Well, you have to start listening to Coast, or we're shackling you with Hillary's sister back there.
I will. Just two questions that I had. How much of a believer are you in the ancient astronaut theory? And what do you think about all these pyramids that are popping up in Spain, Bosnia, China, Japan? all over the place now. You know, when we were growing up, they told us that pyramids were only in
Egypt.
Egypt and Mexico.
Yeah.
So now, what do you think about all these other pyramids that are popping up all over the place?
As Michael Cremo has said, and he's the expert on past civilizations, we are much older than people think. Much older. He thinks we're 100 million years old compared to 20,000 years old or 30,000 years old. We've had past civilizations on this planet. Something has happened. They've been eradicated. Any proof of where they are or who they were is gone. And the planet just keeps going and regenerating itself. They say skyscrapers, if you leave them alone, within 10,000 years, they'd be down to rubble. The glass, the steel would just fall apart. There'd be nothing left. In terms of the ancient alien theory, I believe with what the late Zecharia Sitchin has proposed, and that is extraterrestrials came to this planet, manipulated the beings, whatever they might have been on this planet at the time, whether they were apes or Neanderthals, and genetically altered them, and here we are today. I think if you read Genesis over again, the Bible, and think about it in terms of extraterrestrial visitation, not just angels, it starts to make even more sense to you. We've been visited, we continue to be visited, and that's just the way it is. Sure. Yes, sir.
Good afternoon, sir, and it's a pleasure to talk to you. I listened to you for many, many years.
You got a great radio voice.
Well, thank you very much. I used to listen to Art Bell for many, many years.
Who?
The guy in the Philippines, you know.
Oh, that guy.
Yes, I know. Anyway.
Hey, thanks to Art. If Art wasn't where he was, I wouldn't be where I am today, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, my question is, or what are your thoughts, reverting back to a prior question was asked about how people are changing. You know, I do a little research, and I think, my view is GMO. There's a lot of additives going into the foods, a lot of the chemicals, a lot of stuff that's, you know, that's not right. And this is, I've been looking back, and I think around the past 20, 25 years, you've seen more road rage. You've seen more this and more of that wasn't there years ago, you know, and I'm pretty sure that some people here also tell you that I think there's a lot of chemicals, a lot of stuff that's being put into the foods nowadays that are just not good for you.
Oh, you're absolutely right.
You know, just because it says preservative, it's not going to make you, you know, it's not going to preserve you. I mean, it's going to, you know.
Yeah, it preserves you a different way.
Exactly. So just your thoughts on that, you know.
Well, we're opposed to GMOs, and we have a number of guests on this program, Coast to Coast, that are opposed to GMOs as well. Did you know that the House has passed legislation, it soon goes to the Senate, that will prevent states from forcing companies to tell you that their foods are GMO? Ridiculous. I mean, I want that choice as a consumer. I want to be able to go into a store and see something that says organic or non-GMO or GMO, and then let me choose, let me pick. Genetically modified foods are dangerous as far as I'm concerned. I think they have contributed to the destruction of the honeybee, which could ultimately destroy all of us when there's not enough pollination going on. But you're absolutely right. GMOs are dangerous, and we need to keep fighting that too. Look at all these things these people do because of money. The haves and the have-nots.
Sir, it's unbelievable that a country like Mexico has outlawed GMOs.
They're smart. And other countries, a few countries in Europe have done the same thing. Not us, because there's too much money involved. Yes, sir.
George, very honored to be with you and ask you a personal question.
Sure.
I've been doing some sort of research in regard to the CERN project, the Hadron Collider.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of information in regard what are they doing. What can you tell us that they don't want us to know? What is exactly the purpose and the goals for this project? Because apparently there is something big going on in a matter of weeks that they're going to try to open up a gate.
Wormholes.
Wormholes, stuff like that. Share with us your information on that regard, please.
Well, what we do know, is that what they wanted to originally do is find the so-called God particle, the Higgs boson it's called, a particle that they think is part of what has jump-started life throughout the universe. And now they've decided, now that they've done that and they claim that they found it, they want to learn a little bit more. So now they think that they can make little wormholes. What's a wormhole? We think it's something that had matter, maybe a star, that imploded within itself and now has basically sucked itself in. So if you were by the wormhole, it would just pull you right in. The question is, what's on the other side of it? Other people are theorizing that there are other universes and places like that. Who knows? Here's the danger. If you make these little wormholes, what if they get bigger? And if they get bigger, will they gobble up the planet? Most physicists say, no, it's nonsense, it's not going to happen. A few of them say it could. Is it worth that risk to do something like that? I think when you play around with Mother Nature too much, you're headed for disaster. This universe created things on this planet and elsewhere for a reason. They didn't make it to be changed and altered. And I think we're headed for trouble when we keep doing that.
George, over here.
Where are you? Oh, there you are.
Hi, George. My name is Cynthia, and I'm from Brownsville, Texas.
Hello.
My question is about the predictions about this coming month, the wave X, and how that's going to affect us, affect our DNA, our consciousness. What can you tell me about that?
The predictions are that there will be massive change, economically, socially, all kinds of things. I don't know what's going to happen, other than let's sit back together and find out. And I hope to God I don't have to broadcast this stuff, that, you know, something horrendous has occurred. But getting to your area of consciousness, which also fascinates me, I think we're all connected. I call it the wireless internet. All of us are connected to it. You are to him, he is to you. We're all there. And when you have that ability, by meditation and things like that, to get on that wireless internet, to log on, you can do some incredible things. And that's how I think one day we're all going to be able to grow.
Back here, George.
I just wanted to know, how do you go about picking your guest and what is involved in putting on a radio show for that night?
Okay. A number of factors. I've got an executive producer, I've got a producer, Tom, and we're constantly looking for ideas and show guests on two fronts. One is the news of the day, whatever's happening, how does that fit, and who can we get to apply to that. And then there are regular guests during the longer form portion of the show that we get. And then we get solicited a lot by the guests themselves, book authors, people like that who want to get on the show. So of every person you hear on the program, 5 to 7 of them have been rejected because they may not be able to talk, or they just can't convey themselves in a manner that would be understanding to people. If you hear me talking more than the guest, is my mic still on? Can you hear me? Okay. If you hear me talk more than the guest, it's a lousy guest. You know? If you hear them talking more than me, they're good. I had Steve Bassett, who heads up the Paradigm Research Institute, and he's looking for government disclosure on UFOs. That guy, you can ask him one question. I can go to the bathroom, I can go to the kitchen at the studio and microwave something to eat, and come back and he'll still be answering that question. I had him on my show back in St. Louis before Coast to Coast. It was called the Nighthawk Show. And he was my guest. I had just gotten to know him. And I asked him a question, and I couldn't interrupt it. He just didn't stop. And then when you interrupt somebody, even if they've gone on for 12 minutes, I get emails from people saying, let them talk! So he's going on and on and on. And I figured, you know what? I got to go to the bathroom. I I got to just quickly run to the bathroom and I'll run right back. And you had to go inside and outside of a door that locked automatically. So I rush out, do what I had to do, come back in. I've left my card key on my microphone desk. I'm trying to get the attention of an intern in the studio. Keep in mind, it's like 2 o'clock in the morning. Trying to get the attention of an intern to open up the door. And there's a speaker outside in the hallway. This was a station that was in a shopping center inside. So people could walk by when they're shopping and look in the window and wave and stuff like that. Well, this is after hours, nobody there. But the speaker was up there, and Steve Bassett is still talking. And I'm going, thank God, now I just got to get in the darn studio before he stops, or then I'm really in trouble. And I couldn't get in time. The intern finally found me, and Bassett realized that I was gone. And so right at the end of what he was saying, and he said, and I'll be back in a moment on Coast to Coast AM. And then we went to a commercial, and in I came. Thank God.
George, my name is Roland from Mission, Texas.
Hello.
It's awesome to see you in person and finally get a word with you. Yeah, calling the phone.
Come on up and let's shake hands. We'll meet in the meet and greet, but good to see you. Thank you.
Don't really have a question. I'm going to regret it.
All right, take the mic away from him and let's go, move on.
But I sincerely want to thank you for coming down to our area, especially Edinburg, Texas.
Thank you.
We are all grateful for what you do. And our area, we don't get a lot of interesting people, and you have something important to say. That's the most biggest reason why we're here. And so I just want to say thank you, and hopefully when you come back, I'll have a good question.
All right, you've got a year to worry about that. Thank you.
Hello, George. My name is Joshua Chavez. I'm from, you guys pronounce it Westlake, Texas.
Yeah, I do that.
That's okay.
Yeah, well, how do you pronounce it? Westlaco?
Westlake.
Westlaco.
Yeah, I know.
See, Tom, it's part of Tom's job is to put pronouncers up there. Now, if he ever makes a mistake, and he makes a few, like he might put the wrong city down on something, but I have to go with it, right? Like I remember going to a woman by the name of like Gladys, and I said, and let's go to Gladys in Maine. Gladys, are you there? Gladys, are you there? It's Betty! So I'm at his mercy. Westlaco.
I don't want to take too much time up. I know everyone else has questions, or a lot of people do, but thank you. But I just want to say thank you to you, to Mr. Dan Heiser, everybody else at Coast to Coast AM for everything that they do to give us a great program and all this information that you do give us.
You're very welcome.
I have kind of a two-part question. They're not really related.
Okay.
But first question would be, what is the craziest and or scariest thing you've ever encountered paranormal-wise? And second, what do you think about the dozen or so missing alternative medicine doctors that have come up either dead or
the story we broke several weeks ago. I'll address that one first. Alternative medical doctors, some MDs, most doctors of osteopathy or just medical holistic doctors have been killed. They've died. Some of them have died after the feds have raided their offices because they've tried to prevent cancer and that. I think they're being taken out systematically and slowly. My daughter's cousin from my high school marriage, she is a holistic doctor and has fled to Guatemala to get away because she says there's something going on. So something big is happening there. And in terms of, what was your other question that you had?
What's the scariest and or?
Scariest thing that's ever happened to me personally? Oh gosh. I've been pretty lucky so far. You know how they used to say you have 9 lives like a cat? I think I've used up about 4 of them. But I think the scariest thing has been, I was born in Detroit, and I was there during the riots and everything else. But I was downtown. I was about 19 years old at the time. And I saw some people in an alley downtown, dark, very late. I shouldn't even have been out. And I swear I saw a guy climb up the wall like a spider and just disappear. And that was weird. I don't know if it was an illusion or what, but I saw that, jumped in my car, and I was gone. I don't think I've been back to Detroit since. I make my mom come and see me. Yes.
Hi, good afternoon.
Hello.
Mr. Noory, my question is, well, first of all, my name is Magali Carver. I'm from Puerto Rico, but I came from San Antonio, Texas to come see you today.
You know about the chupacabras.
I had my spiritual awakening, give and take, about 2.5 years ago. And I have been very touched by the readings of Dolores Cannon.
Oh, yeah.
And
God love her. She's gone now, of course.
Yes, I know. And from what I hear in your podcast and the old shows, you had, you know, she was in your show and you had some sort of relationship. I would like for you to share something personal or professional that touched you in regards to her writings.
Sure. I had an emotional relationship with her. She's 80 years old. Not that kind of relationship. Just to qualify it. But she was just a great person. And she claimed that she was able to contact Nostradamus. And that's how she started. That's how we started interviewing her. And she passed away last year. She put on what was called the Ozark Mountain UFO Festival and Conference. But she was an incredible person and very intuitive about certain things. Very intuitive. And we thought the world of her. Yes, sir.
Hello, Mr. Noory. Antonio. I listen to your program religiously.
Hola.
Thank you very much.
I know a few more too.
My favorite topic that your speakers have talked about, or one of your speakers spoke about, is Valiant Thor.
Yes.
And I wonder oftentimes why President Eisenhower rejected this man's offer to bring cure for every disease available in the world, when that would have done wonders for all of mankind. I came here wanting to ask every person on your panel if anybody had any more to add about Valiant Thor, but I didn't have that opportunity. I will ask you if you will ever bring a speaker or speakers reference to Valiant Thor again.
Well, we're going to do a couple things for you. One, you're going to give Tom your address, and he's going to mail you a DVD on Valiant Thor. All right, Tommy? You
Sure,
do that?
Absolutely.
The movie is called The Stranger at the Pentagon, and it's about him, and you'll love it. Our friend in Hollywood, Craig Campobasso, just produced it. And it's an amazing story at how in the 50s, an individual came to this planet from the planet Venus, he says, named Valiant Thor. And he met with our Joint Chiefs of Staff and the President to try to give them incredible technology, and they rejected him. And I think they rejected him. I don't think it was Eisenhower to say no. I think it was all the others. I think they basically ganged up on him and said, sorry, sir, we are not going to do this because it will destroy the way our planet functions right now.
Well, President Eisenhower indicated that one of the reasons that he would reject him was because it would destroy the industry, the medical industry.
Everything.
It would
Everything.
destroy the economy of the world.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. So they decided to pass on his information. Now, did an individual from Venus come here and stay? Who knows? But it's an incredible story written in a book by Dr. Frank Stranges, who's no longer with us. But Tom, I want you to send him a DVD, the movie. We'll get you that. You'll like that.
Thank you.
Sure.
Hi, my name is Ileana. I had a quick question just about the fact that you are involved in everything that's on the outer limits. Have you had any problems with the government because of the things that you do?
I really can't answer that right now. Is he still in the room? I'll answer it later. No, actually, so far, no. I have never been approached by anyone to say, don't do this story or what's going on. Now, I happen to know for a fact that our program is recorded in the Pentagon every night. And they take notes and they talk about it and, how did you hear about this? You know, somebody's in this office calling him. Who is that? And things like that. But in terms of direct, hasn't happened. I think the program is so big that if they tried that, they know that I would either talk about it or, you know, if I disappeared and I was gone, you folks will figure it out. You better.
George, pleasure to meet you. Judd Burton, I teach history at South Texas College here.
Oh, great, thank you.
Long-time listener. My favorite episode was 2002 with Bishop Sean Manchester, the vampirologist.
Yes.
Just fascinating. My question is about the ancient astronaut hypothesis. How important do you think it is to couch the results of that research in the language of science?
I think it's critical, absolutely critical, to tie in science with things we've all believed about what's out there in the universe, why we've been visited, and what's going to happen in the future. But it all comes down to exactly what we just talked about with this ET Valiant Thor. I still don't think governments want us to have the kind of technology that is available, that they know about, because it would literally shake the foundation of everything we do on this planet. Everything. Tommy?
Hello, pleasure to meet you.
Hello.
My name is Angie Marie. I'm a holistic life coach based out of Harlingen. I'm an intuitive healer.
Sure.
I just had one question. Have you had any experiences with dark and light energy just affecting people?
I've done experiments with that personally, and I have found that when you experiment with dark energy and do dark things experimentally, it comes back 10 times. It really does. And that when you do good, it comes back 10 times as much. I was in Denver taping our Beyond Belief television shows a couple months ago, and there was a guy standing on the side of the road with one of those signs, right? And so I made the driver stop, and we gave him $20. You know, no big deal for us. $20. And the next day, I go to my mailbox, and there's an insurance refund from my company. I use USAA, by the way, great company. Those of you in the military, 9 years Navy for me. There's a check for $2,000 in there. So you talk about what you give, it comes back. Either way, whether it's positive or negative. And so you have to be very careful if you send out negative vibes, because it's going to come back and bite you. It really is. Yes.
Good evening, George. Thank you so much for coming down. And I have to agree with everybody
Thank
here
you.
that this is a treat and a blessing for you to be with us today.
Thank you.
I've listened to you all my life, and I'm a multi-generational listener of people such as yourself. But my question goes back to when you were talking about and the polar changes, this type of thing. And then our young lady here at the table talking about, can you talk to us about September? Perhaps can you reflect a little bit on the earthquake in Banda Aceh, actually changing our poles just a little bit, and maybe that put everything into motion, what we're going through right now and what we're getting ready to go through. Thank you.
I don't think the shift was big enough yet, but one or two more quakes of any magnitude really will tilt things. I mean, we saw what had happened with the Indonesia quake of years ago, where it lifted the sea level and the sea floors and stuff like that, and altered the rotation for just a little bit. That's absolutely astounding. But one or two more big earthquakes probably will do that.
I know I asked another question before, but it's a good opportunity.
You're only allowed one call per show.
No. Well, honestly, I want to ask a question because if you had received any chatter on your callers or anything regarding the Jade Helm 15?
Oh yeah, lots. Absolutely. I think your governor here in this state was probably spot on
Yeah.
to be concerned about all of this. Now, were they indeed trying to take over or initiate martial law on this period? No. I think this is a training exercise to be ready to do that one time. And they're trying to get ready. What do they know that we apparently don't know, but we do know? That one day they will try to step in and try to implement this. But it's going to have to be with special soldiers, because most of the military in this country, well, they do know what they're doing, don't they? To answer that question about have they ever watched or listened to me, what do you think? Folks, I want to be honest with you. This is not a joke. This was not planned. I couldn't be that creative to come up with something like this. This is amazing. So Jade Helm is an exercise in the event that they want to step in. But as I was saying, I don't think our military would step in. I don't think, confronted with trying to take over the country, our soldiers would do that. Thank God. But it'll be a small group of people, and that's who they're training right now. I guess we could do a few more here, huh?
George, have you heard anything from Whitley Strieber since his wife passed?
Yes, Whitley sent me an email just yesterday. We had sent him condolences. Whitley Strieber's wife, Ann, died of cancer of the brain. She had been fighting it for years, and we wish him the best. Sad story. Go ahead, Tom.
Hi, I'm Cindy. I was wondering, in relation to all the questions about the return of the Nephilim in September, and what are your thoughts about?
I don't think the Nephilim are coming in September, but they may come back one day. One day. The Nephilim, of course, part of what was called the fallen ones during the biblical days.
George, this is Bob.
We were just talking about brownouts in this city, weren't we?
Reverting back to a prior question about missing people, are you familiar with Philip Taylor Kramer?
I am not, sir.
Okay, he at one time was the lead bassist for the Iron Butterfly.
Okay.
This guy had an IQ of about 195.
That's huge.
His father was also very smart. He was in the process of developing some type of device that could transfer information.
There we go. Mic's on yet? Maybe it'll take a while. But go ahead, sir.
Anyway, he was developing some type of device along with his father of being able to transmit information and matter through space without any type of, on the grounds of health stuff with the internet. Well, he was found and dead, supposedly by suicide.
Right.
They did research, and this guy had been knocked over a cliff in California.
And then he committed suicide, right? Of course.
He was missing for 3 years.
Yeah. There was a Dr. David Kelly in Britain who released vital information about things, and they said he committed suicide, except there was no blood. You know what? Another one. Yep. Absolutely. I kind of liked it in the dark. Shut off the lights.
It's the ambiance.
Gentleman, George. Richard from McAllen.
Hi, Rich.
Politics, which everybody thinks that's a sorry subject, but our politicians, what I don't understand, and you have probably know more people, but I think the American people are tired of voting these people to get in Congress and get on the floor of Congress there and make laws, but they're exempting themselves.
Of course. Of course.
How do we reverse that?
How about this trade law, this TPP story we've been talking about that has passed, and they wouldn't let anybody read it?
Check your mic, George.
Hello, I'm back.
Can the tech turn the mics up just a little, please?
Maybe that's what caused it to blow out.
1, 2.
Okay, go ahead, Tom.
My name's Raymond Espasa from McAllen, Texas.
Hi, Ray.
And I have 2 questions. Number one, in the movie 2012, was that character, Woody Harrelson's character, was that character loosely based on you? And were you contacted for any sort of information?
No, they still owe me a fee.
My second question is if there is something in this area that you needed information, research, or something that we could help with, that you needed something from this area, either research-based or just overall information. Was there anything of interest around the area?
The brunette in the 8th row.
Yes. I'll work on that for you, yes.
Thank you. I have such a warped sense of humor sometimes, don't I? It was funny though, wasn't it?
No, I like the blonde on this road.
Oh, it's Hillary's sister.
Baby sister, baby sister. I don't know, you may not remember this, and you may not remember this, and let me stop and say this is a clean thing I'm saying. Years ago, you had an open mic, and my son Maxfield, we were talking about past lives, and you kept me on the air for 45 minutes telling you about it, and I just was like, maybe I should go, and you just kept saying, no, let me keep you on talking. You said it was the most compelling past life story you had ever heard. I don't know if you remember it or not.
I remember the 45 minutes.
You made me do it. It was the first time I ever got in.
Tom kept saying, "What are you doing?"
I don't know. But what's bizarre was that my son Max told us when he was 3.5 about his past life in Palenque. And there were all these weird things that happened, and people have told us that they heard it on repeat shows.
Oh yeah, they
go,
do play
that,
again.
Max?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's very weird.
We will rerun shows every once in a while.
Well, I wish I could hear it again because it was nerve-wracking. But anyway, I brought some pictures for you to see, but there's a very strange thing that came up later on, and seemingly unrelated, but I thought you might like to hear this. My dad was on the Natoma Bay, which was a ship in World War II in the Pacific, and he was on the same boat as that boy that was reincarnated, the one that was the fighter
the one
pilot.
from Chicago.
Yeah, my dad, who was apparently in Palenque also, my dad was on the ship with the boy, and
he was on the ship with the soldier, who the boy is reincarnated.
Right, right, same boat.
That's a small world. Did he know the guy, the pilot?
My dad was dead by that time, so I don't know. But he was a third machinist or whatever, and they did everything on there. They flew with the guys. They did a lot of stuff on top of the deck. So.
Yeah. Are you familiar with this story? This is about a little boy, lives in Chicago, who claims that he was a World War II pilot, flying Concorde planes, and that he knew information about these planes that only a pilot would know. And he also went to a reunion for some of these guys, and he knew all the names. And he talked stories with these guys, and they couldn't believe it. That's the little boy that got, had a reincarnated episode.
George, if you need to ride back to the airport, I'll help you there.
Oh, sure. You said that to Jimmy Hoffa, too, didn't you?
Jared from Chicago, now from McAllen. Disappearance, people disappearing.
Yeah.
We've heard a lot of things about the Dulce project, the tunnels, all sorts of activity happening underground, the Alamo, fighting battles, getting fought in the Alamo and underneath the university over there. But what do you know about Skinwalker Ranch, also known as Sherman Ranch, and how did it start? And who owns it?
It's owned by a fellow by the name of Robert Bigelow, who is building a space hotel, multi-billionaire. Our friend George Knapp, of course, has been covering that story of very strange things that have happened at that ranch. Bizarre, but they don't know what they want to do with that place. It's kind of spooky. It really is. And when you talk about tunnels and things like that, as you had asked me that question that I didn't answer, I think there are underground caverns in cities here that have been built by power brokers who will flee there in the event they have to escape. I think they're equipped with food, water, to last for years. If we get hit with the power grid problem, that's where they're going, while everybody up top is on the luck.
This will be our last question, and then we'll do some pictures. And
Okay,
things,
sure.
George, Mike from McAllen. I'd like to hear your opinion about SpaceX that's coming to Brownsville. Down here.
I think that's great. I think the privatization of space is important, and it will get us to Mars one day. It might get us back to the moon, but I think private space enterprise is fantastic, and I'm glad we're doing it. And I hope we continue to be the leader in space. I really do. But I think it's great for jobs and everything here. I would go. I would not go to Mars because I don't want to come back and, you know, my family's 10 years older or something like that. But I would take a flight. Absolutely. Did you want one more?
McGiley, 1, 2. Guys, McGiley is our first in line.
Oh,
So
now how do you want to do this? You want to do the meet and greet? Well, let me do my closing speech.
Oh, yeah. Well, I was telling you, do your closing speech.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for inviting me, and thank you for continuing to support Coast to Coast, because this program will at least make those in Washington wake up, because they know you're watching them. I appreciate it. Thank you.